Hello everybody, Crystal Kitsune here, and we are back once again to Tasty Planet Back for Seconds, which is Tasty Planet 2. We are on episode 5, where we last left off. We sucked in the comet that was supposed to kill the dinosaurs, which didn't kill the dinosaurs, and then we got sucked from there to Egypt. So now our quest lies in ancient Egypt, and probably over till here or so, we will be doing a lot of Egypt stuff. So maybe at some point I'll go and do these episodes in here, because that's like a lot of repeating of stuff. They only add like a little one new thing basically towards these middle episodes, as you saw with the dinosaurs, because when you started with bugs and then bones and then little critters and then whatever, and then each episode or each level you started from the beginning and worked your way up. So that's kind of boring. So we will go through a couple of these levels of Egypt, and then I will kind of like work ahead, and then bring you back into another area so you can see where we got to, and then so forth. So that way you're not like sitting there seeing this whole line of levels that basically just repeat the same thing over and over again. So we'll at least start with Egypt. So we got a larva here. Wonder what exactly we're going to work up to. Now, ever since I was younger, I actually enjoyed ancient Egypt. It was really fascinating to me. I got into that particular, no, not got into it, but I learned about it in school. And it kind of just interested me because it was like very cool, about, I mean, I liked a lot of older stuff, but I didn't like, I learned in school history and everything like that, but I mean, to learn about it on your own is seemingly much more better than, I forgot you could use the arrow keys, is seemingly a lot better than learning it for school. If you're learning it on your own, then you can take your time and then like be all like, cool, I didn't know this god did this, or they worshipped cats or whatever. When you're learning it for school, it's like mandatory, so it seems like, oh, I have to learn this stuff, and then you just kind of like lose it. But what I was kind of getting at was, I liked this kind of ancient Egypt stuff because it was really fascinating how they worshipped their gods and took care of their dead, and see there's a mummy right there. We're getting ready to put apparently King Tut in his sarcophagus, because we're on a table. And then we're stacking up jewelry, and there's beetles and larvae and whatever these white things are. I don't know, we'll find out later. Earrings and rings. But I mean, reading about like what it was like to me was like Uraeus, whatever that is. When you're reading about pyramids and stuff, and there was a while back I was learning about, or just reading about Egypt and whatnot, and they had found a secret canopic jar. Okay, that's what it was. And in case you don't know what a canopic jar is what they would put the organs into after they did the embalming. They would put the everything but the heart, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but I think they like put everything else into jars. There was something that they left because you thought they would need it for the afterlife or something. So anyway, crook. Yeah, okay. And a staff. And more staffs. So anyway, back to what I was saying. They had actually, I don't remember whose tomb it was. I'm thinking maybe it was like Ramesses, or I don't think it was King Tut. I think it had to have been like Ramesses or something like that. But Ramesses, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but this particular random unknown or known, or I don't know. Okay, I'm just like babbling. This pyramid, whoever it belonged to, I don't know who it was, but they had found a secret passage, and like they were like speculating before they got to go into it, like what would be on the other side, da 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 da. And it's always like really cool to like kind of like speculate. Oh, that was kind of morbid. He sucked in a person. That is so creepy. Okay, so this pyramid they had, and it having looked at you since playing this, they found this pyramid, and I don't know who it was for, whose it was, but there was like a narrow tunnel, like brick size, I guess, that went all the way through to the other side of this room. Now, it was like there was a wall and they couldn't get through it and everything like that. So they were kind of like wondering how they were going to get through and everything. So they were like, I guess it must have took them a while or something. But eventually they came up to the fact where they got like one of those remote control cars or something like that. Something with like a controller to where they could like control where it went. And they sent that down the whole tunnel, and to find out what was on the other side of the wall. Now, like, people were like thinking it's like, oh, it's a secret chamber, you know, it belonged to this person, so it had to have been like full of gold and stuff like that. And I don't remember, but I think there wasn't really anything in that room or something, if I'm not mistaken. Like I said, it was like a long time ago, and it was kind of like same thing with kind of like the Titanic. The Titanic was also something that was kind of fascinating to me. How, like, you know, everybody like basically has seen the rendition that Hollywood has made, that, you know, it was Leonardo DiCaprio and what's your face, who were in the movie, and it's supposedly depicted what happened, and some of it was historical, a lot of it was not, but it was still kind of fascinating. And I just went to kind of like this virtual museum on this game called Second Life. I don't know if you've like anybody's heard of Second Life, but Second Life is kind of like a Facebook kind of, but virtual. So like you can meet people and go to different rooms or different buildings. Well, they call them Sims, S-I-M-S, like, but not like Sims as in The Sims, you know, the where people, but they're just worlds that people build things into, and there can be like some really neat stuff. There's like beaches and dance clubs, and there's like DJs that are actually real. Everybody's like a real person, and I mean a lot of people can make their like whole life Second Life, and they like make clothing, and they make that's a lot of mummies, Jesus. They make money making clothing for avatars, and you start with like an avatar, like a basic avatar, and then you can, you know, get in world money and everything like that, and buy clothing and etc, etc. But anyway, so off that, I mean I didn't come here to talk about Second Life, but if you're interested in it, just search for Second Life, and it will give you more description about it than I can. But so in this particular program, whatever, they have these Sims that people can go visit, and a lot of them are kind of some of them are historical. So one of them was based off of the Titanic, and it was like, first it showed off like some of the stuff on the inside, and there's like builds that replicate parts of the actual Titanic itself. Not like the whole ship, but they gave it like a scale model, and they like showed off some of the like the grand foyer and some of the rooms and things like that, like a standard room for first class, standard room for third class, etc., etc. And it was really, really interesting. And like they give you this card at the beginning of this. It's kind of like a museum. It's like a virtual museum. And so you go in and they give you this card and you wear it, and it sits on the bottom of your screen, and it has a name on it, and it tells you the name of this person, how old they were, and then it says keep this until the end of the exhibit to find the fate of the person that's on this card. So after you get, through the whole exhibit, they have this wall of names. It shows passengers that were in first class, second class, third class, and then like the staff and everything like that, the people who worked and whatever. But it shows on the top, it shows the people who died, and then on the bottom it shows the people that survived, or vice versa. And so what you were supposed to do is you were supposed to go through and read the list and see if the person that was on your card survived or if they didn't. So I would look through the names and see if I could find my person. I didn't actually find my person because there's like so many names. I mean, they did it in alphabetical order, so at least that was a little bit easier. But I still, for some reason, couldn't find my person. So I don't know if they lived or died. It was a sergeant or something like that who was on third class. So I don't know if he lived or died. But it was still really interesting because they gave you like a link. Well, you could actually play it in the world if you had the ability to. But they gave you a link to a time-lapse video. It was from Discovery Channel, so it was something that Discovery Channel did a while back, or whenever they did it, and it showed a time-lapse of how the ship broke apart. Like, first it hit the iceberg, and then it started to take on water from the hull, and then it started going this way, just like in the movie, basically. That was like one of the things that they got right, was it went like this, like it tipped forward, and then the back part was so heavy that it just broke, and then the two parts sunk into the water, and then like the top part, or the front, went down slower because it was full of, or faster because it was full of water, and then the other one was slower because it wasn't full of water yet. And so it basically was just like watching it go down and break apart and then settle down on the ocean floor. It was like really interesting. Those type of things are what interest me, and the whole things with pyramids and stuff like that, watching pyramids and Egypt's stuff, because it's kind of like the same thing. Like, you can learn so much about, learn so many things from the past through these kind of things. So I mean, it is kind of sad that they did desecrate the tombs and things like that for museums and whatnot, but it's, I mean, for some people it probably thinks that it's a really bad thing, because you're taking apart this person's tomb, and people were thinking these the people who buried them to start with were thinking, oh, they're gonna spend eternity in this like afterlife, eclectic or idyllic afterlife or whatever, and they believed these things, and so they like frowned greatly upon like grave robbers and things like that. So just to have those kind of things desecrated just seems kind of sad in a way. But it's also like I'm kind of torn when it comes to those things, because I'm really interested in learning about said, you know, civilization or whatever through the means of, you know, their objects and stuffs objects and such. So how would we be able to find out about, you know, the canopic jars, and, you know, how they, you know, buried their dead in sarcophaguses if they were royal. If they weren't royal, they still mummified them, but they didn't put them in like really fancy things or anything. But still, they're all interesting. I mean, even ancient like Greece and Rome and things like that, they're all really interesting, because I mean, anything that's you know, feudal Japan, you know, China, I mean, they all have histories, and they're all basically going on around the same time as, you know, these other civilizations, but they didn't know about each other for a really long time. I mean, it's just kind of mind-blowing, you know, how these civilizations were all going on around the same time, and they were, you know, all kind of coming to the same terms with different things in different ways. Clothing, light, you know, shelter. They just did it in different ways. I'm probably like being really super boring right now talking about this subject, but it's just interesting. And I got talking about ancient Egypt and then went to the Titanic and then went back to ancient Egypt and stuff like that. But I mean, I'm kind of like flip-flopped, but I was always really interested in ancient Egypt more than anything else, because I mean, I liked gods and goddesses and things like that of like ancient Rome and Greece and things like that. Those were cool, you know, like Aphrodite and stuff like that. But anything else was kind of like, I didn't get into Japanese like culture and stuff like that until way later. I mean, I didn't even know about like anime and whatnot until a really long time later. My first actual animated movie was My Neighbor Totoro, and at the time I didn't know that it was Japanese. I just thought it was just this cute little cartoon with people with big mouths, you know. But then like later on, you know, I found out there was like anime, which is from Japan, and I'm like, this thing, I must know more about it. And then I just got like addicted to like, you know, anime there for a really long time. I was into like Inuyasha and Cowboy Bebop and Cardcaptor, Sailor Moon, Tenchi, that kind of stuff. I'm not really much into anime anymore. If I do watch anime, I usually rewatch stuff that I've watched before. I haven't watched anything new in ages. People are all like telling me, it's like, oh, you should watch Bleach. Oh, you should watch this or this. And I'm like, I mean, I'm not really into like fighting. The only one that I would actually watch that had fighting in it was Inuyasha and Cowboy Bebop to an extent. But I mean, not like real fighting, like muscly, like Attack on Titan. It's like fighting and has ugly things in it, and I don't really care much to watch that, so I probably won't. But anyway, I'm sorry if I bored you with this conversation, this titillating conversation. But we went ahead and we did all these little levels. Hopefully these won't last too much longer. Hopefully they're generally new as you go along, so hopefully they won't start us back in the next episode. So we'll just see how the episode goes. And I will go ahead and leave this video here, so we will come back to this another time. Sorry if it took so long for me to get back to Tasty Planet. I was trying out some new games and things to test them out to see if they were stuff that you guys would want to watch. And also, thank you very much for all of the new subscribers that have come into this little clique that we have. Welcome everybody who just joined. Like 4 people just recently joined, so thank you very much for joining. And if you like this video, be sure to give it a like and favorite it. It'll help out a lot. And tell your friends about the channel, because word of mouth helps out immensely. And with that, I will say, don't forget to follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you next time. Bye.